The state of California is suing video game company Activision Blizzard for sexual harassment and discrimination. Earlier this week, hundreds of employees participated in a walkout to protest what they call the company's frat boy culture. Some women spoke with local journalists, saying the lawsuit is the start of the Me Too movement for the video game industry. According to a study done by Statista, 45% of gamers are women. Many have started to come forward now with their experiences with sexism and discrimination within the community. Ash Parrish joins me now to talk more about this. She's a video game journalist and staff writer at Kotaku. Ash, thanks for being here. So the CEO of Activision Blizzard released a statement earlier this week saying, quote, "Ensuring that we have a safe and welcoming work environment is my highest priority." He went on to promise that the company is taking swift action to address the environment at his company. Do we know what those actions are?
Yes, so they have brought in the law firm WilmerHale, which is has a bit of an infamous track record busting unions for Amazon, to review their policies and procedures. Not a lot of employees are happy about that because it doesn't necessarily send the correct message, because a lot of employees at Activision Blizzard are looking to unionize out of this action that they're taking in order to hopefully put in place protections that will prevent something like this from continuing at their workplace.
That's very interesting additional context, Ash. I want to ask you also about the lawsuit mentioning an incident in 2013 where during a video game convention, Activision employees nicknamed a room the, quote, Cosby Suite. What does this incident illustrate?
So basically what it illustrates is this pervasive, old boys culture where women are treated as objects. This was a hotel room at the convention center at BlizzCon. There were chats that were leaked that were tons of men talking about how they were going to bring women to this room, and it was stocked with booze, and they were going to apply them with alcohol and make attempts to sleep with them. There were other chats that were, Blizzard employees, one of them was the creative director for World of Warcraft, which is one of Blizzard Activision's biggest games, talking about referencing women, bring these women in, you can't marry them all. And then another person who is still employed with Blizzard said, no, I think you mean you can't expletive them all. So it's just, these chats are really illustrative of how these men have seen women at their company. They're just something that they're toys for use.
The lawsuit calls the culture at Activision Blizzard a frat boy environment. As a woman covering the gaming industry, can you talk about the culture in the industry overall?
It's gotten a lot better than the Wild West days of the early aughts and even before that, but still there's this lingering whiff of women and marginalized identities being treated as lesser. There's also this this idea that working in video games, because it's much younger than, say, the music industry or the movie industry, it's a culture of we have to be scrappy. We have to put these games together on shoestring budgets. We have to, do whatever it is we can so we can make these games. And a lot of the attitudes that come out of that is that you just put your head down and you accept whatever happens, because if there's no other way there's no other way to get the game out of the door. And the men that make these games they're just circulated throughout the industry. They usually very rarely face consequences. When they're done at one studio, they move on to the next. And this culture of treating women and people of color like garbage just goes with them. It's unfortunate. It makes me sad personally, as a woman of color who enjoys playing video games and has for her entire life. But there are pockets of good people. It's not rotten all the way down. There are pockets of good studios that take care of their employees, that have zero tolerance policies for these kinds of behaviors. It's just that for a huge studio like Activision Blizzard or your Riot Games of the world, this is more what we're seeing coming out of Activision Blizzard now is more of a matter of when, not if.
Ash, I'm wondering what the response has been from gamers to this news about the alleged harassment at Activision Blizzard.
The reaction from gamers has been swift and brutal. People are canceling their World of Warcraft subscriptions. People are staging protests within the games. In World of Warcraft specific instance, there was an NPC character that was named for one of the people who was directly named in the lawsuit. The person who was attributed to the Cosby suite. He has an NPC in the game, and people would come up to this NPC and they would like put signs up in front of him that said "Go away," or they would, if they were of an opposing faction, they would come in and try to kill the NPC as a way of protest, like we don't want you in our game. On the other hand, there have been people who are like, what is this? This is guilty until proven innocent, and kind of like standing up for Blizzard and the behavior of these men because they think that, oh, it's not that bad, or until this comes out in the court of law, it doesn't matter. So it's been, but more by and large, the reaction has been, I'm never buying a Blizzard game again. I'm canceling my subscription. I don't want to give them my money anymore.
All right, NPCs, non-player characters, just in case any of our viewers are less familiar with the lingo. Ash Parrish, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.